Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today, depending on where you're calling in from. Thanks for your interest in today's session, and going to share some information about what's new in our latest version, which is out for production release next month. We're very excited about a bunch of the new things we're working on. So Dave Miller, I'm president here at eMAM, and I have with me Emily Neal and Anna Dua from our team. And I'm going to just dive in and get started today. If you don't know anything about eMAM, there's going to be some inside jokes here because I'm really going to focus with the small time we have today on the new features. So we'd be happy to run through you with the basics if you don't know much about eMAM. But in the interest of time and to be fair to people who already have a good knowledge, we're just going to share today the new features, the new tools, the new integrations we have. And because there's so many, this is a select list and I'm going to zip through them very quickly. But having said that, we'd love to have answer questions and have a separate session or, share with you offline more details about any particular one or ones that are of interest in the system. So let me just dive in. So this is what's new in our new version. As you know, on the eMAM platform, we do the entire life cycle of digital assets. So I'm going to use this kind of as a guide, start with the acquisition organization, new tools and features, and then go across the life cycle of a digital asset, some of the high bullet points of what we have. So obviously, here's our web-based user interface that a lot of folks are using to access the media, make it simple for non-technical people, and with a bunch of new tools. So media coming in, there's new options for processing the media. So in our web interface, you want to look at an H.264 MP4 proxy. And so one of the new ones we have working with is ATEM for transcoding. Working with Capella for transcoding. And then more options we've had for a while, Elemental Media Encoder, but using it with Lambda and for making mezzanine copies. So not only making H.264, but also using the power of Elemental to make a mezzanine for edit or use. So the media comes in, and one of the problems is that a piece of media may not be processed. So obviously you want to find out what's wrong with it, everything else, but we've added an option where users from the web interface, with permission of course, can change the status or clear out old things that have not been successfully processed. And please use this carefully because again, you want to address the root cause or the issue that there's a change in processing. We have multiple audio tracks. So expanding what you can do in the preview window, the browse window. We added the option to drag and drop and move assets from one category to another category. So a little more flexibility on using the system and setting up the permissions. We've added images. So you can see a nice smiley face, hopefully, to figure out who did what with the system and where it came from. And again, I'm gonna be running through, because there's so many and in the interest of time, I'm gonna zip through a lot of things. We added more and more tools to process by date ranges and dates. So added these options for workflow conditions. Scheduled date, also set up tools where you can manage things by scheduled date inside the system to trigger workflow. More power with file property values, again, to trigger workflows. Added a browser widget category view, so you can look at the category and then browse those media as you need. Added advanced search in the project widget, and with the whole idea of collections. So we've had customers who have so many projects that it's an endless list. You can put them in collections, and also you can hide the empty project collections. So again, yet another way to organize your media. Date range controls, whoops, that was already there, and adding more tools. more analytics into the system that are standard. And of course, we have a whole endless variety of things that can be done custom. So these are all kind of basic UI things or in the basic workflow. Signed URLs add another level of security to the system that helps you stay compliant and controls your media. Then if we look at the middle of the process, the production asset management part of the process, and again, some of this can be done from the web interface. So from the web interface, you can do subclips and markers and make a timeline at the bottom. But we're adding more and more tools to make this more powerful. Adding metadata for subclips and markers. Again, important part for searching them. Stitch and deliver, which we had before, but now is added with Elemental Media Convert. Very important and top of mind for so many customers. And we've had parts of this for a while, but remote editing from cloud workstations. So set up a cloud workstation in the middle up there in the cloud, and then use a PCOIP tool like Nice or Teradici or something to access the media that's in the cloud. And in the lower left-hand corner, now you have a bunch of options on what you do with the media. You can check out the media, grab it, put it on your workstation, edit it away. If it's local, like if it's on a local SAN or NAS, you can link to it. You can localize it in a similar kind of fashion, or you can stream it. So using a drastic media reactor, we can stream from S3 buckets. So now you don't have to download the media, but you can look at the media and go from there. Also, the important options of, are you going to pull down the original media, or you want to do a mezzanine edit, etc. So you have options on where you're going to do your edit, at what level you're going to do the edit, and then check it back in and do the final conform, whether that's local or cloud. So top of mind for so many customers. Obviously, the new version of Adobe we've integrated into the system and tested. Mogurts, which is either great if you know what it is. If not, then it's maybe something you don't use, but people are using both Premiere and After Effects, use these motion graphic files. So it gives them powerful tools and options, and we have information on this we can share with you. A lot of times people pull down media and then pile up their hard drives or their local storage. So we added an option in Premiere to delete, once you check it back into eMAM, delete those local assets so it doesn't fill up your whole hard drive. Very excited. One of our newest things is a Resolve panel. So again, not only Adobe, not only Final Cut, but also Resolve, and have a panel inside where we're going to support those timelines. So for more and more customers, it's either part of the workflow or they're looking at Resolve for replacing their current editing system. So we're very excited about that as a new option for customers. You're going to need the professional studio version, not the free trial version. But having said that, it's very affordable for a permanent license. So it's a great option for a lot of people. So if we move on from collaboration to delivery, we have new options, new features, everything else that we're very excited about. So we had the desk link. Now we have more and more things that you can do, just download directly from eShare. So made this more powerful, more feature rich. An integration with Ross newsroom system. So excited about that as a new integration, in addition to what we've already done with other players in the past with Octopus and ENPS and SNews, and also with Playbox. So working with their playlist and working with them on edit and complete workflows. So we have a recent webinar we did. We'd love to give you recording information on how we work together with them. Cable Labs, so they have specs on how to deliver the media, and so this is now an option in eMAM, and we can really get technical very quickly, but as that an option, if you're sending out using Cable Lab specs, we can help you facilitate that process. And one of the ones we're very excited about is what we do with Arrows, which is to say, use ATEM for packaging. And so we have a dynamic interface where they can drag and drop and bring in multiple parts and elements and then send that to ATEM for packaging. And using that, they have a really streamlined process. So there's a case study, and there'll be a video on this, everything else, but they self-define their own delivery templates. So it's a really powerful combined system, and it works a tempo with the archive, Premiere with the editing, but ATEM for the packaging, and that's all defined in eMAM of pulling which elements to put together to package, and then it goes right to where it needs to go. And as an Indian film lab, they have a ridiculous number of languages and subtitles and customer specs, but they do this all on the fly. So we're very excited about what we work together with them to do. And then finally, towards the end of the process, is we have now added more options for both AWS and for Azure. So we can now tier Azure Blob, and I didn't take an image, but we also can tier to multiple AWS Glacier levels, so directly from the interface, and you can figure out which one's the best option. So we'd happy to share with you a blog post that was recent between us and AWS on all the different tiering options into their storage system and Azure for the blob storage. So as promised, I zipped through things very quickly to leave a lot of time for Q&A and to be mindful of your time. So let me get out of this and remind you that we'd be happy to meet you at NAB. Happy to set up an online discussion. We just sent out a newsletter to a bunch of people. We have a brand new website, which I want to show you in just a second, with a lot of great information there. And happy to set up a meeting at NAB. We're in the North Hall. And then you can also set up to meet us at CABSAT, Broadcast Asia, IBC, or online. And as promised, I wanted to leave a lot of time for Q&A. And let's see. When does the DaVinci Resolve panel release? So the first release will be next month when we have general release on eMAM 5.4. And then we'll be making periodic changes and updates, because that will be our first iteration. Now let me see other questions we have. We'll be in the North Hall, so that is in N2169. So we'd be happy to meet you if you or your colleagues or anybody's attending NAB. We'd be happy to do that. Let me see, open up other questions. And oh, I'm sorry, and the second half of the question. So if you're working with us directly, or you have a system integrator partner, everything else, reach out to us in terms of setting up a new patch. Whether it's a production release or you have a sandbox, let us know. And let's see, other questions. I think we answered that one. Sorry, Emily, what are the other questions? I don't see the question widget. Oh, now I do. Let's see, is Anoop with us? Anoop, you here? There was one question on advanced search filters. Is there a not equal question? I think the answer is yes, but let me come back and answer that one offline if he doesn't. Tailstream Vantage improvement. I think, yeah. I know we have the variables and we have the complete workflows. I don't know if there's any more testing we did. We were looking at Tailstream Cloud in addition to the traditional system integration. So I think that's still not finalized, but we have looked at them. Let's see, any other questions that came in? But we would certainly like to we'd certainly like you to test the new features and certainly look at the Resolve integration and make any suggestions on future improvements. Do let us know. And new integrations. And S News as well, we had a recent webinar, so happy to share with you a copy of that. And release will be out next month, so in schedule time to get your hands on the newest version and take a look at it. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback. And yeah, reach out to us directly or through your partner.
And then we got two more questions, Dave. One, at NAB, do we plan to show the Da Vinci panel? And two, when is the official release date for 5.4?
There's a soft release, which was March 22nd, and official release would be NAB, which is April 17th, I think. And yes, we'll be happy to show the panel. That was very kind of you to volunteer to show it to our friends. Great. Other questions that came in? And let us know if you want a recording of today's session or the PowerPoints. I didn't want to dive deep into the details of these because they get very technical very very quickly, and then it's a lot of inside jokes.
Another question, has there been a change to how project versions are managed? Before they could not be archived, wondering if that has changed in 5.4.
Oh, yes. So yes, you can archive the project version, yes. And yes, so that's certainly set in there and improved. And you track through the version widget, project version widget. So yep, we'll send a recording by. Yeah, so I wanted to make it very quick today because hopefully we can start some discussions and hopefully you can share your feedback on all the new tools and features. We also have a newsletter. Happy to share that if you didn't get a copy already.
Another question, in the current version, it's not possible to purge original file before purge. Is that possible in the latest version?
Not possible to purge the original before purging. See if I understand the question. So you want to just purge the original, or don't understand the question? I'm sorry if I'm missing this.
Sorry, before archive. It's not possible to purge original file before archive.
Oh, let me check on that and make sure I understand the question. But I'll get back to that offline.
Another question about the new software update. Can we delete failed jobs in the dashboard widget on the new version?
Yes, you can get, yes. Now I do say that with a caveat because you want to be careful with that because there might be a reason that it's not working, right? So it's really best to see if there's a reason things aren't working. But that's the whole point, was was to give you the option to take that out of the dashboard.
We also have, does version 5.4 now allow for proxy editing, meaning we can use the viewing proxy as the source and relink to the original?
Can we relink to the original? I mean, I think the answer is yes. Let me clarify with the team, reread the question. But yeah, I mean, you can use the source as HU64 as the original is certainly an option. And, you know, which would be the proxy you're viewing. So I think the answer is yes, but I'll review that and respond also offline as well. How is it we can recreate the mezzanine file rather than re-ingest? So I think that means if you've lost the mezzanine file or you want to create one subsequent to ingest, most customers, most organizations are creating it at ingest. But I think your workflow is to create one on the fly. I think we can, I guess, take that discussion offline and see what your actual workflow is and how we can help you with that.